This is week 9 of the weekly roundup, where I respond to your comments and questions on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube comments as well. Yeah, we get them from all those sources. I've got a couple of questions I'm going to answer for you, some awesome ones coming in. Alana Nixon says, "Hey John, I was wondering if you know of any shows similar to TYT that cover Canadian news." Unfortunately, I don't currently know of any that are similar, I guess, in format or the way they cover the news, that sort of thing, that deal specifically with Canada. Maybe you can search. But I do have some good news for you. I know, at least anecdotally, Steve-O, the COO of the Young Turks, has said that we do want to expand into other markets. He's specifically mentioned Britain and Australia, but I think I've heard him mention Canada as well. So hold your breath, maybe in a year or two, there will be TYT Canada. Next, coming from 5 Oodings. John, what's your take on a viable future third U.S. political party as an alternative to the Republicrats? I don't personally have the view of the current two-party system that some people do. I think that it's a little bit healthier than some people, their sort of apocalyptic views of how it's going. And the reason that I think that is also the reason that I think that a major third party or a lingering multi-election third party is unlikely to come about. And that is that the way that elections are structured in America, it's extremely difficult for a third party to have an impact in multiple elections. So to even be on the ballot in many states, you have to have had a certain showing, a percentage showing in the previous election. In some states it's 3 or 4%, some states it's 5%. And so unless you hit that mark, in the next election you're not even going to be on the ballot, and so it becomes even harder to be involved in multiple elections. Also, with the sheer amount of money it takes to run a competitive campaign in the state or on the federal level, it's very hard for that. Now, these states have the established parties, both the Republicans and the Democrats, one of the things they're best at is raising money. It's hard, actually, like in auto manufacturers, for a startup to compete. And finally, the parties, both the Republicans and the Democrats, it's easy to see them as very static organizations. But one way that they're particularly robust, one way that they're particularly adaptable, is when they see a new interest group making a big impact on an election, like the Green Party, for instance, did a couple of elections ago. One of the parties will have an incentive to incorporate that, to digest that, and have those people vote for them in the future. And so we've seen that a couple of times. I mean, sort of the Christian right becoming an increasingly strong part of the Republican Party, the Greens with the Democrats, and things like that, environmentalists, everything. And so for those reasons and many more, which I'm sure you can find multiple dissertations on, it's probably not going to happen. Let's see. Sports News Maniac said, "Do you ever regret not finishing up your PhD? Dr. Iadarola has such a badass ring to it." I do regret it in some ways, I suppose. I think it's natural to regret, I guess, what you don't have when you make a major life decision. And I'm sure at some point in the future, I will look back and think, if I just held in there and I just finished, the last 6 or 9 years, I would have had it. That would have been great. But no, in general, I don't regret the decision at all. I am in the best position in my life right now. I like pretty much every aspect of my life, and that can be, for the most part, tied into making the decision to not finish my PhD. So no major regrets yet. Finally, last comment here from Linda Hewitt. "What's the best first-person shooter game in your opinion? I just really want to blow some shit up," with a smiley face. You weren't super specific there. Now, granted, you only have 140 characters, but I don't know if you mean historically or in the present, single player versus multiplayer, so I'll mention a few. Probably one of the ones that has made the most impact on me was GoldenEye. For local multiplayer, it's one of the best first-person shooters ever. I don't think that we would have the multiplayer first-person shooters we have now with the features they have if not for GoldenEye, which especially on consoles showed that first-person shooters can work in that format. I don't think we would have had Halo necessarily. Previous to these games, first-person shooters only really happened on PCs because it was believed that the controllers just weren't adaptable enough. So there's definitely GoldenEye. I also enjoyed Halo and Halo 2 multiplayer. I mean, I guess in terms of story, both Half-Life and the Dead Space series have been very important, I think, in advancing what we believe a first-person shooter story can be like. I'm probably missing a whole bunch of others that are similar in that regard. I think Borderlands is very interesting. There's a lot. I can't really choose, but those are some ones that stand out. I would love to answer much more comments, but I've gone over a little bit. And so if you have questions or comments you'd like to see on next week's Weekly Roundup, feel free to leave them in the comments section. You can tweet them to me at Iadarola, or go to facebook.com/, believe John Iadarola fan. I don't know, search on Facebook. Somebody set it up. I don't know who actually controls it, but you can leave comments there as well, and I look forward to reading those.